Merry Christmas, Mount Hermon Baptist Church. I hope and pray that you are all doing well and that you had a wonderful Christmas day and that the whole Christmas season may be a blessed one. We have been going through a very difficult year, and I, for one, have been so pleased and proud of Mount Hermon and all that this church has done in the last 10 months. We have not sat on our hands. We have continued to fellowship, to gather in new ways, and to find creative ways to witness as a church and as disciples of Jesus Christ. We're a relatively small church compared to much larger churches that are doing similar things that we have been doing the last 10 months. And so you can say that Mount Hermon has been punching above their weight or their weight class. We have been accomplishing things that few small churches have been able to do, and even larger churches have struggled to do. And we do want to remember and pray for the many small churches that are struggling mightily right now. They just do not have the resources in order to connect their members during this time. So we do want to lift them up in our prayers, and if there are any ways that Mount Hermon can help, and you know of a church like that, then please contact the staff, contact me. I know that I have been helped by members of other churches who have done the things that we're now doing long before we have. You may wonder, the last 10 months, how does Mount Hermon do it? How does the church put together a service? And even before the 10 months, perhaps you asked the question, how do we put together a service? But even more now, how do we put together a service while we cannot gather in person, or while we're also adding the live stream aspect to it? And so I thought to make a video and share what exactly we do as a church in order to make a service work on a Sunday morning or other special days. There are some things that are very similar to what we've done before the 10 months pandemic, and there are very different things that we are doing. And so I want to begin by showing you a spreadsheet. This is a spreadsheet that the staff works on. We sometimes plan services months ahead of time, weeks ahead of time, and we are putting various elements of the service into the spreadsheet. This is a way that the staff can communicate with one another throughout the weeks in preparing these services. So Peggy, as our church administrator, Janice as our worship leader, John DeWitt as our youth pastor, they're all adding and changing things. So here is the Advent and Christmas seasons. And so you can see from November 29th all the way down to Epiphany on January 3rd, and all the different aspects of worship. Again, each part is placed in whenever the staff has that information. And so it's a way of communicating together and helping to craft the service so that there are common themes in the scripture, in the music, in the sermon, in the children's chat. All those things come together. And I would just like to take a moment to thank the staff, Peggy, Janice, and John, for all that they do. This is a job that requires a whole week and to prepare a service, and we are often juggling many different services at the same time. And so once all that is put together, and Peggy, she prepares the bulletin, we all gather on a Sunday morning and we worship together. Now, it's a little simpler. I've said it a little simpler than it really is, because sometimes it takes rehearsing and all. But here is when, starting in March, things changed. Because we could not gather together on Sundays, we decided, well, we'll film the parts of the service, each part of the service, and then we can put it on YouTube. And so what was our habit was to meet on Friday, the Friday before the Sunday service. And we'd get together around the same time, around 11 o'clock. Then the lighting would be about the same, and things would be familiar when we did watch the service on Sunday morning. And we would film. Pretty much all of the service. Now, there were normally a few places in the service that had already been filmed, because it really isn't the staff preparing the service, but it is the church preparing the service. And if you were asked or you volunteered to help in a service in the last 10 months, then you know this. Perhaps you read scripture and you sent in a video of you reading scripture. Perhaps you did special music and you came sometime throughout the week to church to film this special music. And this is the way that church should be. It should not be a church where just the staff runs the worship service, but that everyone is engaged together, participating in worship. And so I ask you to continue to participate in worship. Volunteer. Ask your deacons how you can help. Ask your staff. Ask me how you can help in worship. If you'd watched the Christmas Eve service, we had to scramble because of weather, but nevertheless, people stepped up and they said, yes, I want to participate in worship. So please continue to do that. After we would film on Friday morning, then the process of gathering all these files began. And I'd like to show you that as well. And so I would come to my computer and I would open a little folder. And these are all the active projects currently, all the active projects that I'm working on. So there's the 1 Corinthians Bible study, the Advent and Christmas services, Advent devotional book, future services. Oh, this is what I'm working on right now, filming right now, a few other things. So we can click on the Advent and Christmas. And so these are all the services that I've been working on. And here's the Christmas Eve service. So this Sunday, December 27th, the sermon is called Rags to Riches. So I'm going to open this folder. And now we see a bunch of other folders. You have audio, children's chat, dispatches, pictures, slides, special music video, and then the announcements that Peggy provides every Sunday, and the bulletin. These are all folders that I use to collect all the different files necessary to make a service. And I have already collected a good number of files, if you see here. And this is what we're going to do now. We're going to combine all these files to make a service. What do I use to make a service? It is a program called Premiere Pro. And here is the Premiere Pro outline. So what I'm going to do is import all the different files that I had collected and put them into Premiere Pro. And so you notice now we have all the files in here. And then my job is to put them in a timeline where all the videos and all the pictures and all the audios are all nicely set in the right order. And so we might start with the slides. So we'll put in the first slide, which is the opening slide. And we'll add a little transition so that it appears nice and neatly. So I do this with all the files, the videos, the pictures, and also the audio, and I match them all up. And then in the end, we have a nice, beautiful outline. And I'm not going to have you sit here for a couple hours watching me do all this, but what I will show you, like a good cooking show, is the final product. Welcome back. Okay, well, here is the new completed timeline. So this has all the different files now for a service, and it looks like a big mess, but it actually is very well organized and put together, so that if we go to the very beginning of the service, you can see that the first slide appears. And then if you wait long enough, you'll hear the prelude start up. And so every aspect of the service is included. You have the invocation prayer, you have the dispatches from the scattered, which is coming up right here, which we have a special dispatches this coming Sunday, and on and on. And so this is the service. So how do we get this to become something you can watch online? Well, that requires putting all the files together in a very specific way, which this is what the program does. And it renders all of these separate photos and videos into one video. And once you have that video, then you can upload it to YouTube. Now, when we have a hybrid service, it gets even more complicated, because not only do we need to create that video so that we can put it up on the projector screen for the different parts of the service that is recorded, but the parts that need to be shown online that have already been recorded need to be placed in another program that broadcasts them. And that is for another time if you're interested. But you've probably seen the laptop up in the front near the pulpit. And this is what we do during the service. We're not just helping to keep the service in order in person, but also online as well. And if you have joined us online, then you have seen that as well, as we jump from live to recorded and back and forth. And if we do a good job at it, then you can't even tell the difference. So that's just a little bit of what we do as a church. And again, I say as a church. The staff do a lot, I do a lot, but we do it only with the help of everyone at church. And it does take a whole church. So again, if you're part of Mount Hermon Baptist Church, then volunteer to help with these services. They take many hours of work, and any help that you give is very much appreciated. But also, the service is just much more full and beautiful when many people participate in it. We've also been working hard on a shoestring budget to advance our technology so that we can reach out to many of our church members who can't come in person right now. And so if you want to help with that, then give to the church. We have been so efficient with the resources that we have this year. And we've been able to do a lot with very little. If we had a little bit more, it would take the stress out of many of our lives. But it is always rewarding when I talk with one of you on the phone and I hear that y'all have been going to church religiously, even through the pandemic. Just last week, talking with Billy and Rachel Clayton, and they have taken the pandemic and quarantine seriously, but they also take their commitment to Mount Hermon seriously, and they have been joining us for worship every single Sunday, and many of y'all have as well. So please do pray for the church. And if there are ways that you can help in the coming months, then we very much would appreciate it. God bless and Merry Christmas.